The CPU is the brains of the workstation, so this was my starting point for the build, with the two options being Intel and AMD. Intel has the new 12th gen processor and AMD has the Threadripper and Ryzen 9 models. The 12th gen Intel uses the 1700 series socket, while the Ryzen 9 uses the AM4 socket, which has been in service since 2016. The Threadripper has the TR4 socket, which has been in play since 2017. For me, holding socket architecture for longer periods is, in my opinion, a smart move by AMD. Intel, on the other hand, choose to change their socket sizes constantly, which prevents consumers from upgrading to newer CPUs easily, with having to swap out motherboards when upgrading CPUs, or just buying a whole new rig. As much as CPU frequency is the prime factor when selecting a CAD Workstation CPU, a less considered spec is its capacity for instructions per cycle, or IPC. Even though the current AMD CPUs have a slower clock speed than Intel, they hold their own due to having an advantage with IPC. The AM4 socket is due to be discontinued after many years in service, with the much anticipated release of the AM5 socket later in 2022. When it comes to multi-threading applications, particularly video editing, rendering and point cloud processing, I would say AMD currently has the upper hand, which makes for a tough decision to select a CPU for a workstation that requires performance for both single-threaded and multi-threaded applications. With the end of life of the AM4 socket and the core focus of Captain Cranky to be a single-threaded workhorse, I eventually chose to go with the Intel Core i9 12900K processor to be the brains for this build. Let's take a look at the specifications and the stock out-of-the-box values for the performance cores. It has 16 performance cores, 8 performance cores and 8 efficiency cores, for a total of 24 threads. Performance cores have a base frequency of 3.2 GHz. Performance cores max turbo frequency is 5.1 GHz. Performance cores with the technology 3.0 has a frequency of 5.2 GHz. To summarise this technology, as I understand it, Intel has built-in checks to find which of the two performance cores are the strongest and allows those two cores to boost to 5.2 GHz as a stock out-of-the-box function. These cores have been termed the golden cores. I'm yet to establish whether that stock function is a constantly changing and evolving selection, or to nominate the golden cores, the physical silicon is the determinant factor. Something else to note is the Intel 12900KF variant doesn't have the integrated graphics that the 12900K has. This extra graphics function should allow me to run an extra screen to monitor the resources and free up display ports on the GPU. How best to set up my system to utilize the 8 performance cores and 8 efficiency cores is yet to be determined. So hopefully our testing will shine light on our options to gain the most performance. I plan to do a separate video on our testing and those test results, so keep an eye on this channel for future videos on that topic. Thanks for watching the video, and be sure to check out our other videos on the channel. Also, click the like and the subscribe buttons below. Leave us a comment if you have any questions about Advanced Steel, or if there are specific topics you would like us to cover. And remember, if your job's worth doing, it's worth doing right.